Hello guys, so in this video I'm gonna show you guys how to make this amazing dialogue system with Unity and GIMP.
Alright, so in order to restart our dialogue system, the first thing that we need to do is to create our dialogue image, what is going to be the background of our dialogue. I recommend you guys to make multiple dialogues images so you have some kind of diversity on your game, but I'm going to show you how I can actually make one of them. I'm going to make it in a kind of a style of persona. So what I'm going to do here is open GIMP. You can make it pretty much on any kind of a image editor that you want. I like GIMP because it's free and is actually very easy to use. Okay, so we have GIMP right here. What I'm going to do is just open a new project. Alright, so we have something like this. And just to make it very easy, what I'm going to do is to create shadow box with vectors. And then from this, I'm going to create a lot of layers, just kind of tweaking a little bit the chat box, so we actually have some animation when we have on our game. So what I'm going to do is to create our first layer is going to be chat box 0. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to make a very simple chat box. So just for example, something like this. And then I have the chat box self right here, here, and here. And then I just make something like this. Okay. So in the first layer, what I'm going to do is actually to choose the black color, and then I'm going to fill the layer with this, and that after that I'm going to choose the white color, and then what I'm going to do is just outline this with the vector. So we fill and then we outline. It's good to have like something like 5 pixels or something like this. So what I have is something like this. I don't want to lose the shape of the vector. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to create a new layer of chat box, add a new layer. I'm going to disable this. And what I'm going to do is just to move a little bit the vectors. So we kind of have an animation. So I'm going to move a little bit this. So by tweaking a little bit, I'm gonna have, I'm gonna have a little bit of difference, and then I'm gonna paint again, but with this layer. So what I'm going to do is choose the black color. I'm gonna fill the path of the vector, and then after this I choose the white color, and then I'm gonna outline this. And just I'm gonna make one more time, but how many times you want to do it is actually your choice. It doesn't really affect. Of course, if you make it more times, it appear better. But anyway, it's just a matter of how you're gonna do it. So what I'm just gonna change a little bit. This. No, I'm not making different angles with them. I'm just moving the position of the vectors, so it's different. And then the last one, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna fill the path with the black color and outline with the white color. And remember that the outline, you can make it like bigger. I just made one like of 5 pixels, but you pretty much can make it bigger. So after you do it, what you want to do is export each layer as a different image. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So for example, imagine that we have this. I'm just gonna make it visible, this one, and then I'm gonna export it as, and I can make like, for example, chat box 0. Okay, so I'm gonna export to my desktop area, export. I'm gonna make it impossible unsee the first layer, then I'm gonna see the next one, and then pretty much I'm gonna export it. When instead of 0, I want to make it 1. And of course, you can also export them all together with different kind of layers. It's totally your choice. And after you actually export all of them, you're gonna have images separated of all of them. And then we start actually our work on Unity. Okay, so with Unity open, what we are going to do is just to drag and drop our chat box that we just created on GIMP. Okay, I just changed the background to gray, but you can actually pretty much put any color right here on the camera. I just think gray is a cool kind of color to match with our chat box. So I'm gonna drag and drop our chat box right here. And what we're going to do is just to make sure that the quality of the chat box is good enough for our game. So I'm gonna select all of them. And here on Inspector, I'm gonna make the filter mode equals to point and the compression none. And then I'm gonna hit apply. What this will make our images better for the quality, so we're not going to compress in any way and not going to filter in any way. So actually the quality is going to be as it was when we created it. So in order to make these images, as we're going to make a text and the text is going to be on a user interface, these images needs to be on a canvas. So what I'm going to do is actually go to Game Object, UI, and then Image right here. So we have something like this. And this image is going to be our chat box, okay? So I'm just gonna drag and drop here and just configure a little bit to be better. It's too small. So what I'm going to do is just make it bigger. You can choose the size that you want. It's just good to be kind of a similar what we have on GIMP. Okay, something like this. And this is going to be our chat box. So chat box. Okay. In order to have the animation, I'm going to select this chat box and I'm going to open the animation window. So with the chat box selected, I'm going to go to Window and then Animation and then Animation again. And it's going to open this scene right here. So what I'm going to do is create animation, and is going to create an animator controller for our animation that we're going to use later. So the name of this animation, I'm going to put something like chat box. I think that's chat box animation or something like this is good enough. I'm going to save. And what we have is this. Once you have this, just select all the frames of the animation that you have of the chat box and drag and drop into here. So we're going to have these 3K frames right here. Okay. And what we are going to do is just to select from the last one the other keyframes and copy and paste in kind of the same space right here. Then the first one to here. So it's basically going to do the animation and then redo the animation from the starting point. So it kind of is going to work as a loop-in. So we're going to have something like this. Okay. You can change the animation, just selecting all of them and make the intervals smaller. It's going to be faster. Or make the intervals higher. So it's going to be slower. Okay. It all depends on how many frames you actually make for this one. After we have the animation, what I'm going to do is to write a text just to test it. And then after this, we're going to create a script and actually write this text down. So on the canvas, what I'm going to do is Game Object, UI, and then Text. I'm just going to make the text over the chat box, so we actually make sure that it's over. And in order to our text to appear, the text needs to be white in this case. And I'm just going to make something like subscribe to the channel and buy my course. Something like this. Of course, I want to make this text bigger. So what I'm going to do is actually, okay, it's to enter the text into the chat box. So now you can actually make it better to position it. So when you press enter here, like the position is going to press on the center right there. Okay, it's going to use your core image as well. So this one. So you may have some trouble with that, but just position it where you want. So after this, what I'm going to do is just to make the text fill the full body of the chat box, at least the part that I want it to be. And I'm going to make the font bigger, something like this, and centralize the alignment just to be on the center. Okay, so we have something like this, and our text looks like this. All right. The next thing that we need to do is just to make an animation of writing it down. And I'm going to make a script for this one. So right here, I'm going to create a new folder, and I'm going to call it scripts. Scripts. Okay. And on here, I'm just going to create a new C# script. And it's just going to be text typer or something like this. And what it's going to do, it's actually very, very simple. I'm just going to make it. It's just going to pick our text, and it's going to add a new character every single interval. And that interval we can choose between seconds or minutes, is your choice. And then after it actually arrive to the chars, it's going to add something like this. So the first thing that we need to do is to have the time that is going to take between one interval and another. So I'm just gonna put like interval, and it can be pretty much like 0.2 or something like this. It's really your choice. After this, what we're going to have is the message that we want to write. So something like, I'm gonna make it public, but it really is your choice. So message, and then I'm gonna make it subscribe to my channel and buy my course. Okay. After this, what we're going to have is our text component. And in order to actually have this text component, we need to apply another library from Unity. So here on using, what I'm going to do is just using, and then put unit engine.ui, and that's basically going to be responsible to understand that we're going to use a text big game object right here from Canvas. And just a quick remember, all this project is going to be available on Patreon. So if you really like this class and you want to help me, and you also want to have all the projects of all the classes that I do here, so go in the link on the description and visit my Patreon page and consider to be a patron. Okay, so just continue right here. Another variable that we're going to have is text. Okay, and just it can be like text game object or something like this. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a enumerator, and we're going to use our wait function and with our interval to add each character on our text. So what I'm going to do is enumerator type. Okay, and then I'm just gonna make it for each character or char that we have. It's going to be like a it can be like a word, like a letter, something like this, in our message. So it's going to pick each char of our message. This guy over here is responsible to make a list or array of all the chars that we have on our string, in this case our message. Okay, so for each character that we have on our message, what we're going to do is just to make our text game object, that text, to pick this char or letter and add what it currently have. So it starts empty, or it should start empty. So after it's empty, it's going to add all the characters that we have on our message until it doesn't have any more. Okay? And after this, what we can have is just return 0. And yield return new wait for seconds. And then the interval that we want to have right here. Okay, and after this we just need to call this into start, and first we just need to make our text game object that text equals to empty or something like this, just to make sure that it doesn't start with a text. And after this we just make a start coroutine of type. Okay, so it should be working if I don't have any error. Okay, after this what I'm going to do is just apply to my text, okay, or any other game object that we have. So I'm just gonna, or you can even apply to the chat box. Just gonna make sure that we make a link between our text object and the text that we have and the message that we already have. So if I make play right here, where I have something like this, right now is very, very, very slow, just because the interval it's not high enough, or actually low enough in this case. So what I'm going to do is just to make 0.2, like 10 times faster, and let's see how actually works out. Okay, you can even make it higher. So let's say something like 0.5. Okay. So you choose actually the speed that you want, is actually your choice. And just to make it better, in this case, I'm gonna just kind of build a little bit of a scene right here of what I have. So I'm just gonna make it this chat box a little bit smaller right here, and I'm gonna add some characters in this. So just to make sure, I'm gonna put some characters in Unity. So my capybara, compression none, and then filter mode point. Okay, so I'm just gonna put this guy over here. Oops, not here on the main camera. So right here. We can even make it right here. And another thing that I can add is a background. So in this case, I'm just gonna put a random background that I find. So something like this. So if I put the background right here and just make my capybara to appear in front of it. And then I have here on the chat box, I can pretty much move anywhere I like. Or just let me see something like this. And then we have our character saying something on our game. And of course, just a quick thing that I realized right there is on canvas, change the scaler from constant pixel size to scale with screen size, just to make sure that your canvas is going to actually follow the size of the scene. So in this case, something like this. Okay. You can also, if you want, you can change the font of this. So just put in some font right here also. Here on text. So we can, here on the text that we have, we can change it from Arial to something like this. And we have a little bit better right there. Okay. So we can put something like boat. I think it's going to be better. Something like this. Okay guys, so if you like this video, give a thumbs up and comment a feedback. I also have a Udemy course, so if you are interested, you can go on the description or the comments and see what it's like to make a 2.5 game. So yeah, see you on the next tutorial.